understanding that from the inside out, essentially we live our lives. Thoughts are first planted on the inside of us that form our thinking, form our actions, habits, and then produce essentially a course for us to chart out destiny. So again, understanding, thinking, perceiving, understanding the revelation of who we are and what capacity that we bring to the stage is so revelatory. But here's a further question for you. I want to ask you this too. Like, is our culture conducive even to hold your capacity, right? I was having a conversation with my girlfriend and we were just talking about that. Like, culture doesn't set people up to be great in that way. Culture sets people up to be casual about dang near everything. Casual about dating, casual about living out our lives, like just so casual, right? And so it's kind of like going against the grain to kind of really dare to go deeper into ourselves and understand, who am I? What was I created with? What kind of skill set, and exploring that, what kind of skill set and what kind of giftings do I have to contribute to the world, right? And then to a relationship, because ultimately everybody wants to be loved and in relationship. And some of us are carrying around a lot of baggage and are not whole. And that's why I always push wholeness, which is a part of peace, being a piece, having a full piece, right? Not just a piece, but a P-E-A-C-E, not a P-I-E-C-E. So, yeah, just kind of going through whatever's necessary to really get in the face of God, one, really seeking out therapy and counseling too, if you need to, going and getting some type of ministry for inner healing and deliverance, and then activating the things that kind of call us to wake up to, like, hey, I have dreams. Hey, I have visions. I like to see people healed. I like to really develop people and get them on a chart to teach them truth and accuracy and teach them about themselves and identity. If you can identify with those things, that starts at the making of your capacity. That is the beginning of your journey to really opening up, if you will, the jar of your vessel. I want to read to you a scripture that relates to capacity. When I think about capacity, it is, give me 1 second. So the scripture that I have, I actually had two, but the first one that I have, I'm going to read is Acts 9 and 15. And it just kind of emphasizes us being vessels, right? I'm actually reading these backwards, but the first one is Acts 9:15, since it's already turned there. It says, "But the Lord said to him, go forth, for he is a chosen vessel of mine to bear for my name before Gentiles, kings, and the children of Israel." So it kind of emphasizes that we are vessels, right? They carry treasure, which is the other scripture that I have for you. But us being able to be carriers of something, it kind of goes back to having a capacity. How large is my vessel? And we're not just talking about this body, right? But my vessel being earthly, and an inner analogy, if you will, can expand just like the outer part of my body. If I'm eating and eating and eating and doing whatever I do to be large or expand, it will expand. But also there's an expansion that can take place on the inside of us so that we can understand the need to cultivate capacity, to grow it, to activate the things that are kind of lying dormant on the inside of us that we never knew to kind of explore about us. Giftings of God. The Bible talks about treasures, like in 2 Corinthians. And it's 2 Corinthians 4 and 7. Let's turn there. 2 Corinthians 4 and 7. So it says this: "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. And excellence in the Strong's Concordance means beyond, throwing beyond the primary idea that of excellence, superior access, preeminence, like something that just goes beyond, above and beyond, just something that is supreme, actually, likened unto our Father who is the supreme being. But going back to that scripture, just to kind of hone in on that, a treasure is the knowledge of Christ on the inside of us, especially if you're a believer who has accepted Christ on the inside of you. He's seated and deposited on the inside of you. Even prior to us really coming to a knowledge of Christ, he knew who he created us to be when we were sent from eternity to time. We were sent as a vessel through the birth canal into the world. There was a purpose stamped on our heart to be able to fulfill, to activate, and we came with gifts to fulfill that purpose. So like I said, I talked about prophetic, actually graces, such as being able to have dreams and to have visions and to know things where you don't know necessarily, well, how did I know that? And to know answers to problems that others are still struggling to find solutions to. And there's just so many more gifts of wanting to heal people and to see them healed and to see people walk in their identity and grow. And there's so much that I'm probably not even, it's coming to my mind, but those are just a few of great examples that